This is kind of the wrap up in a little more refined detail. It shows you the placement for the year. In the bottom part, it shows you how many people deployed this year in addition to our Fest Day and all the work people did. So obviously FY09 was a great year. We had the challenge for lots of people in this room on lots of ULOs. We started with $7 million at the beginning of the year, and a huge effort to get through all that. It is a complicated process. When you looked at on about August 15th, among the Corps of Engineers, the entire Corps of Engineers, we had about more than half of the ULOs out there because we have the indirect process and lots of other things. So a great effort by everybody. The challenge is to make it so next year, next slide, you're going to see we start with an even bigger number, 20 million. Now, 15 million, that's one project, but at Chipham, but we start with a big issue again. So effort by the whole team earlier in the year to get there is pretty important. FY10 is going to be, I anticipate, a bigger year than FY09 even. When it's all said and done, I think we'll be over $800 million before the year's out because we kind of lowballed the SRM in Omaha here, and we kind of lowballed what the Israeli program would be because you never quite know until the final signature what's going to happen. But another big year. I don't need to remind everybody towards the bottom on what's going on in terms of our building. And I want to thank everybody for your patience, understanding, and great energy. I did another walk around today, just kind of seeing all the people in the conference rooms that are jammed in tight, and everybody seemed to have a great attitude. I'm sure you're making new friends you never knew you had. Some people are going to be in the second phase. We move in different floors, so the nice thing is you get to know some people elsewhere in the building you don't normally talk to. So there's lots of pros to this. If you walked into IM, you can see the total piles of crap that have now kind of showed up electronically where someone found 8 extension cords underneath their desk they didn't know they had, and old computers and printers that are 4 or 5 years old. So a huge effort. I think, what's the latest number on steel cases we're at? We now have over 250 of those big on-wheel steel cases full of old paper that have already been dumped. Okay? We haven't even tackled engineering. That's 250 right there alone. Okay, so that shows you that. That's a lot of effort by the people in this room and the folks that are here today. So I thank you for it. The benefit is, the payoff is, when you move back into your thing, you don't have to move it all back in again. So there is a payoff, but that's an important effort. And as you can see when you walk on the new part that RM just moved into, it's a pretty nice product when it's all said and done. So that'll be great when we're, by about March, when most of the building's done and only the 4th floor's left, everybody can kind of breathe a little sigh of relief. Another thing I want to mention just briefly is the P&A portal. Obviously, a lot of people here have been involved in that a little bit over the course of the last year. There's a very big effort right now over the next 30 days to kind of lock in all the other things that we have not put on the portal and get it all cemented so everybody feels comfortable that it's working well, it's doing what it's supposed to do, and there aren't changes going on if you don't touch it for a week. Okay, that you're comfortable that the template you did last week hasn't changed on you. Okay, so that's a big effort over the next 30 days, so anything you can do to reinforce that. In the long run, it's going to have a huge benefit for us, not only for kind of ease of doing things, but also paper on the backside. And there will be a big effort come 1 December or so on post-award and closeout kind of things, and how can we use the portal to make those things better. So in the end, I think everybody will have a role in it. Right now, it's much more on the project acquisition front side, but it's going to grow on the backside too. So I appreciate your involvement in that and your energy, and I think it's going to help a lot. Obviously, we have some big projects, and I'm going to throw another slide up in a minute, but we finally, on October 15th, got to award the 7th Army. That was a great effort by lots of folks to finally get that, mostly getting Congress and DOD to finally let us award it. It wasn't really a problem at our end. But that's a great trigger for lots of other projects. There's another $200 million in projects that are going to happen in the next 2 years, all as a result of that finally being awarded. So I want to, let you know that's moving along, and I know the field office is already thinking about how it's going to execute all this, so it'll be great. You see WAF South, AFRICOM. We have a SHAPE International School that's in the, we started design on, $140 million school. Landstuhl is, the final decision has been made, but it looks like DOD is probably going to, is looking at either building a Landstuhl or building it near Weilerbach, which is kind of between Rhine Ordnance Barracks and Ramstein. OSD hasn't made the decision yet, but they have decided they're going to build a new hospital. Okay, so one way or the other, there is a more than $1 billion hospital that will start getting built in FY12. All in the course of about 4 years, and The money stream is 100 or 200 million the first year, and by the third or fourth year, it's 400 million those years. So obviously, that's going to be a huge, biggest project here in a long time. That's double the amount of money spent on Olive Graph when you think about it. So obviously, that's just getting started now. But by FY12, that'll be a huge role for the district. Pretty exciting. It'll be interesting work, and so that's nice for the long term of the Europe district. And then obviously, lots of work going on in BIM and LEAD and QMS on trying to bring some of those things into our day-to-day effort here. That's an Army has directed that to happen across DoD, that BIM and LEAD and all these other things happen. So it's not a matter of, if we're going to do it and everything else, it's how we're going to do it. So if you're interested in those things, please jump on board and be part of it, okay? Because that's important stuff for the future. Next slide. I threw this in there just to kind of get you a sense of, you just saw today that there's at least 45 people in the audience that are just arrived in the last 4 months, right? So they're here for the next 3 to 5 years, and what's coming down the pike? Well, I told you some of those things are long-term projects, but you can see just in a projection through FY12, we're not getting any smaller, which is great news. For the next couple of years, the hiring we've been doing, we can sustain that. The important thing now is, as we accept these things, is to make sure we're manned, make sure we're organized, to do them right. Okay. So if whatever the staffing needs to be to execute properly, that's what we need to do. Because as soon as we accept the project, we have to deliver. Okay, so that's great news. And that doesn't include MDA, as that gets sorted out, and a few other things. And so, in reality, by FY13, it could easily be $1 billion. Because by then, the hospital program will be doing 200 or 300 million a year. Okay, so that just gives you kind of a sense of where it's at. If you want the details behind that, go ask PM Branch. They got it all. Okay, next slide. The last thing is I just want to open up the floor for any questions about anything, any concerns, any problems. We don't do these very often, so if you've got anything that's on your mind, please, if you don't want to bring it up publicly, I'll stick around afterwards, come up and you can tell me just about anything. Nothing? Okay, well, thanks for coming. Appreciate it.